Okay, hello everybody. Today we're going to be looking at Friday 12.1 integrating Google Forms. Um, and so what we're going to do here is the students going to work with instructors to integrate their Google Forms, Google Sheets into their We Love Dogs Google website. Students are going to be able to, by the end of this lesson, you guys are going to be able to create a button that uses a hyperlink text to the Google adoption form application form that you have already created. Set the send form settings to allow for no collection of outside emails. Set permissions on the form access so users can access the application from a web link. And also next, we're going to click form settings to see the form responses. Then we're going to create a linked Google Sheet, the adoption application form that we had before. We're going to learn how to collect those responses and how to see those. We're going to test it out, make sure that it works. And then we're going to embed a Google Sheet animal roster file into a new page that we're going to create on the We Love Pets website. So let's go ahead and get started. And we'll start off here first with going to the button area and go ahead and set a button up on the Google application form that we're going to be doing on our actual We Love Dogs Google website. So we're going to go up and click on or open up our We Love Dogs website. So if everybody's caught up, you should have everything that looks just like this. Scroll down so you just take a peek at it. Remember last time we finished up with our social media links. We may have more social media links to add later. Next thing we're going to focus on is we said we're going to come over and we're going to create a button. Here's the button link. So under the insert tab, you're going to scroll down, find the button link. I'm going to click button link. Now we're going to name the button. This button link is going to be named adoption form. Now we don't have the link just yet. So before we can save anything, we have to have the link. So the adoption form, we need to make sure that we go and open the adoption form. And if I can get back to the adoption form, adoption form should look like this. Now, you can't just grab this link here. You're going to have to come over here to the send button, and we're going to click on this link. So you could send this link by email, and you could send it that way. Some people do send surveys that way or links to applications. But right now, we're gonna click here on this link, and over here we're gonna say do not collect. If you have it on verified, it's going to make people actually have to log in with the Beaufort County, and you want this opened to the public. So we're going to say do not collect. We're going to make sure we're selecting that, and we're going to hit copy. Then we're going to close this. We're going to come back to We Love Pets, and we're going to click in this link, and we're going to say Control V on your link there. Let's hit insert. Now the button is going to pop down here, okay, wherever the bottom of the page is or somewhere on your page. As before, you want to get your mouse on it and then make sure you can see the navigation northeast southwest looking button. We're going to move that up here, and we're going to stick it somewhere right underneath the adopt a dog today. Okay, so now our adoption form is right underneath the title and that text box. Let's go ahead and click the preview button and see what that looks like. So we got our scrolling image. Now we have an adoption form. If the link is active and you see the little mouse arrow turn into a hand as it gets over the button, if we click it, let's see where it takes us. Should take us to your adoption form. It's a form that's ready to be filled out. Notice that where the state is, now you can see that you can choose one of the states. That's what that button does. There's a submit. You can only submit one form. That's the way we want it. Now we'll go back to our website, and now that part is completed. All right, so we're gonna not be in our preview mode anymore. We'll exit out of that and we're back to our page. Now we added our link here, and we can add that link anywhere we want on any of the pages. But a lot of times you also want to put a link like that in your navigation bar. So how do we put a hyperlink in a navigation bar? Well, we're going to come over here to Pages, the Pages tab, come down and hover over top of that plus sign, and you're going to want to come up here where it says New Link. So I'm going to click on that new link. This is where you just have to paste that in for the link. And then the name is going to be exactly what it was before, adoption form. Hit done. And now you're going to see that the link is also up here in the navigation. It won't take you to a page, but will take you to the link when you click on it. If we go to the contact us page, notice that the adoption form is still up here at the top. So it's useful, especially certain forms that are on the navigation bar, because let's say somebody calls up and they're looking for the way to get to the adoption form. You can, on any of the pages they get to through the web, you can say, well, at the very top on the navigation bar, you'll see where it says adoption form, and you can click on it and submit it. All right, so now let's go back to our home page. We're going to talk about adding in and integrating our document. If you remember, we were working on this facility animal roster. The one thing about Google Docs, you got to make sure that all your sharing privileges are set so that if it is put to the web, that people have access to it. So anytime you're going to share something through a Google site, or you're going to share it where you're going to give a link to outside people that may not be a part of your organization, you need to make sure when you come up to share, right now it's set to be private to me. Here is a very important little tab where if you click that, see it's restricted. Here, it's only for people in Beaufort County. So if you're in part of our organization, only you could see it. And this is the one we want, anyone with the link. So we're going to click that, anyone with the link. Now, if you're a student and you don't have anyone with the link, but you have the Beaufort County, just go ahead with the Beaufort County and that'll be fine. We're going to say done. But we do want to make sure that when we click done, up here at the top, there's another settings. You can see where it says editors can change permissions. We're not going to let anybody have access to edit our page, because the last thing we want is people on the internet having access and then changing our database. So we want to make sure that we'll take this off. And we don't want viewers and commenters can see the options to download, print, and copy. That's okay. To be able to download and print and make a copy of this file, they may want to in case they want to have the information for those particular animals. So I'm going to hit the back button and I'm going to say done. All right, now that that's completed, this was a very important step. We'll come back to our animal website. We're going to come over to pages. We're back to pages. We're going to come down to the plus sign again. We're going to hover over it. And this time we are going to go ahead and click the new page. Okay. Stay right where you're at. Click the new page. This one is going to be available. And if we could spell available correctly, available dogs. Right? Available dogs. Now, if this was an adoption or a facility that had multiple kinds of animals, you probably wouldn't put dogs. You probably put available pets or something like that. So we're going to say done, and we're going to have a link that's now on the navigation bar. And now we have it also created the title at the top. And we have this at the bottom where we're going to add, we're going to click down here in the bottom area, and we're going to go back to insert. We're going to scroll down, and where you see sheets, that's what we're going to click. So we're going to click sheets, and we should see options here to include. So I have a lot of sheets in here. This one here is a completed facility animal roster. I'm going to click that and say insert. it's going to give you a window that has a slider bar if it doesn't fit. But there's some settings and things that we can do to make this fit. If the window's not very big, they would have the option to scroll. So depending on how big you want your page to be, you can pull this down and make it a little bit bigger, but just remember they will have the option to have a scroll bar either side. Um, let me see how much bigger we can make that. All right, so let's come up here and look at the settings. So the settings, you can pick which sheet you want from that document. So sheet one's fine, so we'll just say done. All right, now let's go ahead and preview this. Let's go up to the preview button and we'll click preview. So if we're on this dog page for available dogs, this roster page, you can see now it is able to be with your mouse, you can scroll down and you can see the documents. Now, here's what I want to show you. If you keep your eye over here, you see that the Speedy corgi dog, who's a female and weighs or is about 6 years old, is in the process of being adopted. Okay. The dog Rasmussen, he's available. So I'm going to click back on my document here and I'm going to go down to Rasmussen and I'm going to copy the in process and make Rasmussen in process. And I want you to see what's going to happen here. Go ahead, say paste. Now I just changed it here. So let's go back to our preview that we have on our web page and we'll see what happens. So you can see it's available. If I hit refresh, and I'm back in preview mode, you should see that now Rasmussen is in process. So it's very a cool thing that you don't have to publish or change a website. Anybody who's working in your facility who's updating this Google Sheet, they have access to it. If they're changing and changing data in your database, it's actually going to be changing data that's going to be live on your website. So you want to work smarter, not harder. And this is the way to get that done. So if you got questions about that, please make sure you ask. But being able to do something like this and put live data on a website is a super cool thing. And a lot of people will be super impressed that you have that ability. Now, you know, it says facility animal rosters name of the sheet, but then this is sheet number 1. Now, if we came back here and we renamed this sheet and we said rename it and we said this was let's just say this is the year 2023. Okay, maybe our rosters we're going to keep them differently. Now let's go back over to our web page. Let me hit refresh on this and then we'll have to go back to preview. Notice that it changed. So you can see any live changes to your documents will update. And that's just basically referring to the tab that you have. Okay. All right. So that's the last part we got to do, just including the facility animal roster for our Google Sheets integration. All right. All right. So let's go back to the home page. We were working with our Google form that we were collecting responses, and we want to open up that Google form. So we already made the link on the home page, but let's talk a little bit about what happens when somebody makes a response to your form. over here, under responses, right now we got 0 responses. We're going to test this out, but before we test it out, we want to make sure, one, we're accepting responses. If for some reason we're not accepting applications anymore without going to the website and making it a big deal about having to take things down and shut links down, you could just easily just toggle this off, and nobody's going to be able to access the form and submit an application. But here we got some options with the 3 dots. You can get an email notification for responses. That's important sometimes, because sometimes you want to know if you had somebody send a form in or not, and maybe there's certain people in your organization that need to get that email so they know to check the applications. You could set that for them. Here you're selecting destination responses, but what we want to do is want to click on this link to Sheets. Now you got 2 options. If you already had a database, you could select the existing spreadsheet, or we're going to create a new spreadsheet, and it takes the default name of the document or the form and puts responses behind it, and that's okay. So we're going to say create. It's going to create a new sheet, and what you're going to see on the Google Sheet is going to have all of the questions listed on top, all of the questions. So this really quickly can do all that. Now, the only thing that I would suggest is, as you take the top here of that has the questions on the header, we're going to hit shift and we're going to highlight every one of these columns, and we're going to come over here to the text wrapping, and we're going to make sure we select text wrap. And what that does is it took that very long sentence and allowed it to be in one cell, widened the cell out, changed the cell height. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to come back and I want to do the same. I could have just left it um, selected. We're going to make sure that the vertical alignment is in the middle, and we also want to make sure that it's centered. So our horizontal alignment, we want to put center on that. I like to, it seems like it needs to be bolded. And then the font size is probably okay, but we do want to change the color. Let's change the color, and let's go ahead and change the borders, give it some separation. All right, now this is set up. This is going to create this Google Sheet that's going to accept all your form responses as they come in. So you can sort your data. You're really going to see some cool stuff. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to test out our responses. We're going to go click the preview button, and you need to go through and go ahead and do the responses. So you're going to pick the day, and let's say we want to adopt Coco, and you put your first name on here, last name. Notice I'm just filling this out. Street address. You can put you can make an address up. Maybe you put 333 North Chester Street, and then city is Beaufort. State, I didn't put all my states in yet. You probably will. Whatever state. Should I don't have South Carolina listed, but you will. Are you over the age of 18? Yeah, by far. And then there's a lot of other questions that you guys have, but I'm just trying to shorten this down. But then they'll sign their name and hit submit. Okay. All right. It says your response has been recorded. So let's see what that looks like. Let's come back over here to the We Love Dogs application. And if you click responses, now notice it was 0. Now it says 1. Click the response tab. You can see a summary. So this is like all one state so far. So you get these nice charts, which is kind of cool, okay, for certain types of questions. Now, if I go on the question, I can click through each one of the questions and I can see the responses for each one of those questions from the whole group. We only got one person who's done the application. If I click individual, I can then see that individual responses that they selected. All right, now let's go look at the sheet view. Look what happened here. It automatically put the data into that form. Okay, now I will tell you that depending upon the address and this and that, you may want to widen or drag some of these out to fill. And you can also, if you click up here, you can do the whole. This is the difference. Notice if I select individual cells, or I can hold shift and get multiple, but if I select up in this top corner, it does the whole sheet. I can definitely come in and tell it to make sure things are centered. You can see the data changing. I can tell uh, I don't really care if it's bold, but if I want, I can put in the borders and anything else I need to do. I probably need to make sure that it's also got text wrapping. All right. Let's go back to our survey responses, and under our questions, once again, you can see that there, after you get several responses, um, you will see, especially for the questions that have questions where it can do a graph, you'd see what states adopt the most dogs, or what age of people, if they're over 18 or not. You can see the percentages breaking down. So you'll have more questions that you'll need to from the form we did the other day. This is just a small sample, so I could show you real quickly how to do it. We did have, I'm looking through some people's submissions, and we've had a couple real good ones. And let's go ahead and just say by the end of the class period, you should have this done, and you'll start to notice that your website is going to start looking a lot more fuller. If you click through, you should be able to verify that you have all the necessary components. You can link to your adoption form. Your contact form is there. So those are the pages that you need to have included, along with making sure you had your logo created from Canva, and that you had your favicon created, and that you tested it out at a published page. Now remember, all these changes that we're making right now, if we get out of preview mode and we come into publish, here's going to be the differences. See, there's the current published changes that are up right now. And if I scroll through here and look at any of these pages, like for example, you can see that we have this here on the one that we've been working on, but over here we don't have it. So this will all be added. So as soon as I click publish, my draft becomes my currently published. The more things you do, it will take a little longer, especially if there's new images or new links and documents. So you just have to give it a second as it's working through. Okay, it's done. We can go ahead, and if we click this down arrow, we can say view published site. Notice that our favicon is going to pop up with our logo that we created. We love dogs. Contact us. Pretty cool. We can go to homepage, verify that our live site has all of our links. You can test your link. Now, this is where you may, like when you click on your adoption form, you may notice that either you have permissions or not permissions to be able to see it. So you definitely want to make sure on a live one, available dogs. If this doesn't show up and it looks like there's a box, but you can't see what's in the box, that means that you don't have this Google Sheet shared properly. So everything looks to be pretty good. Notice that there is a tab over here. If you click on this, it says open sheet facility roster new window. It'll actually let you open this document, and it allows you, I can see it because I'm the owner, but and I could change it. That's the cool part. Like if I was on a website, I could open it, make changes real quick. But if I'm not the owner, it would just let me view it, and then I could download or print it from there. So, all right, go ahead and get to work and ask me questions if you have some.